Welcome back to Great Day Houston. When it comes to divorce, there's a lot to consider. The laws can be different from state to state, but did you know they can also be different if your case involves a member of the military? It's important to have a lawyer well-versed in military law. Joining us with the correct marching orders are attorneys Kevin Hunter and Shannon Boudreaux from Boudreaux, Hunter and Associates. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
All right, you know, on the surface, divorce law, just kind of like, okay, it's divorce law, but it can get very complex, as is the case with military divorces. But one thing that you all are known for is you will hold that client's hand through the process.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. They face the same things that we do as normal civilians. It's just the circumstances that they may be facing, such as deployment. You know, we've heard of the Dear John letters. You know, what happens? Are they effective in their ability to execute their mission? You know, things like that. So it's important to be able to understand that. The spouse or the people at home, they just have as important a mission, and so it's just a difficult process for them, and being side by side with them is important.
And family law in general can be a difficult process because there's a lot of emotion involved, right?
That's
and you kind of have to be the sane person who kind of takes a different view of stuff and try to take the emotion out of some things.
Right.
Okay, this is why choosing a lawyer who's well versed in each category is important. Military in particular, there are all kinds of things that can make it a little bit different. For example, if you got married in one state but you're living in another state or another country, you have to figure out where are you filing.
Correct, yeah. There's a lot of different things. We always consider people living overseas, you know, executing their duties overseas. Foreign divorces aren't really recognized in the United States. So are you able to get married or divorced in your home state of record? Where are your, if your spouse comes back overseas, do they have residency requirements in the state that they're in? You know, so there's a lot of things, there's resources available to military members to help them through that process on their posts or installations. But at the same time, too, those are questions as lawyers we have to ask to make sure that we're filing in the right place.
And if you file in the right place, but let's say that other partner is deployed someplace and they can't just come back for a court date, what do you do then?
Well, so one of the things is there's a Servicemen's Civil Relief Act. It allows service members that are deployed some relief when something like, you need to be able to get divorced, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a spouse that wants to get divorced from a military member, but they can't just take them out of that mission and bring them back.
Right.
So you have to affirmatively request under the Servicemen's Civil Relief Act, which is a long title, sorry.
You served in the military before, so you know how to say this, okay? Yeah.
Well, one would hope.
Yeah.
But you have to actually affirmatively request a stay so that you can, you know, inform your command what's going on, allow, you know, some time, some relief to get back, and then you can participate. You have to actually ask the court to do that, though.
Yeah, yeah. All right, division of property. You know, we've heard forever, like in Texas, oh, it's 50-50, community property, community debt. It's not necessarily just 50-50, is it?
No, it's whatever's fair and equitable, depending on the facts and circumstances of each case.
Yeah, and then of course there's other things that come into play here. Obviously people talk about their 401ks or any money they had before they got married and the whole bit. But in this case, you have military pensions that could come into play as well. So what happens with something like that?
Well, the same type of rules apply as far as the division, you know, but there are things that, how long has your marriage been?
Yeah.
How long has the service, you know, been? They have to first be eligible to retire, you know, but there's a couple things like the 20-20-20 rule, which is 20 years of marriage, 20 years of service, and 20 years of overlap. So one of the benefit aspects of that is that spouse would actually be able to still maintain an ID as a spouse.
That military ID. Yeah, I grew up in a
Correct.
military family, so that military ID affords you certain things, even in healthcare and stuff like that.
Healthcare, access to the installations so that you can use the commissary or the base exchange, as well as an entitlement to that pension. You know, and there's a couple different rules as well. If it's 20-20-15, so 15 years of overlap, that is more just towards the health benefits, TRICARE and things like that. So just being able to kind of navigate those, it's still the same aspect of division, right, as civilians deal with. But
Yeah. All right, child support. Basically kind of the same as the civilian world, but this is where things get kind of dicey. You know, visitation, we know that's worked out in a divorce. You know, where the child might live. Oftentimes people say you can't move any further than X number of miles, right? In this case, you may be moving to Afghanistan. I mean, you may be moving to where you can't take your child, right? Moving to a whole nother country. So, gosh, how do we work with things like that?
I think it's really just important to understand, find a lawyer that understands, you know, the leaving earnings statement, which is basically our pay stubs, right? There are some benefits that person would have listed on there, but are they actually receiving that benefit monetarily? You know, the calculation is the same as regular civilians. your net monthly resources. But for example, if you go to a place where you have base housing, some of them are privatized now, and so you basically, it's almost like you're a go-between. They pay you the basic allowance for housing, but it goes directly to that privatized housing manager, so you never see it. So that really shouldn't be included in your net monthly. So
that totally gets complex. And then of course, again, which parent could have, the custody of the child? Again, if you're someone who's moving overseas someplace, you're going to have to put that child, if someplace that's not hospitable, right? You're going to have to leave that child with that other parent. So that's where things can get kind of crazy too, because you could be gone for 6 months.
Correct.
Sometimes we put temporary rules in place when there is a member out on deployment. So we have some temporary possession and access or visitation schedule while that member is on deployment.
Yeah, okay. And then lastly, sometimes members just cannot make it in for that divorce, and you've actually represented them in court.
So when they come in,
if they can't make it back, like
Yes.
you've defended clients unable to leave their duty, right?
That's one of the things. They actually have to ask permission from their commander to leave the installation. They can't just do it. So we have some means if they can't, and we have proof of that. We can ask for telephonic access, maybe FaceTime, or over the phone. Some alternative means that allows them to be present in the courtroom when they can't actually physically be present.
All right, and I'm gonna wrap up with where you file really can matter, because every state can be a little different. In Texas, for example, alimony is not a big thing like it might be in California or whatever. So like, do your homework and get the right law firm that can walk you through these things. And no divorce is simple, but things can be much more complex if you don't get the right help.
Absolutely.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you for having us.
And to get in touch with Boudreaux, Hunter and Associates, you can call them at 713-333-4430, 713-333-4430, or for more information, log on to bhlawtexas.com. Okay, I saw you two staring at the kittens in the audience. We'll explain the kittens in a minute, but that's because you all love pets in your office.
Right,
Yes, we do.
that's right.
You do a lot of pet fundraising and the whole bit. So, okay, you can go touch the kittens.
Thank you.